But in the meantime, this is the Depression Trifecta, titled because all three games are really fucking depressing. Also, hello everyone in chat. So we're gonna start by clicking the prologue. And timer starts now. So I'm gonna pause the game while the beginning cutscene starts, and I'm gonna hit A, and this will cause me to start blind walking closer to a cane that the character needs in order to be able to walk correctly. We are starting things off on a sad note, Shadow. Absolutely. Get it out of the way early. Get it out of our systems.
Or any existence for that matter. Even my own name is currently hiding itself
Are
from
we walking?
me.
I can't tell.
I must find out what has led me to this speech and somehow leave this place.
So Montague's is going to be the kind of the weirdest one out of the three, because there's a lot of like really weird boosts and stuff that we're going to do. A lot of the tricks in Montague's requires us to kind of like rub against collision, which will cause us to just kind of fly up in the air. And it might take me a few tries to get some of them, because a lot of them are RNG based, because like we have setups for each of them, but the results are inconsistent. So if it takes me a few tries to get certain skips, you're just gonna have to kind of bear with me, because nothing I can do really much about that. A lot of this, kind of the part of the setup requires this little compass. If you hit Q, you can see this little compass that pops up on the screen, and you can use that to kind of get your setups properly in order to, you know, I guess, bounce off the collision, as it were. So yeah, we're gonna grab the walking stick and we're gonna come over here and we're gonna rub up against this rock for a bit. Hopefully we can get it within the first, like, minute. That'd be great. And we can skip 2 cutscenes this way. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to just deal with the 45-second time loss. That is, cutscenes. But that's fine. Come on. Nope, okay. Not gonna sit here. This one's not nearly as important. It's important if I was gonna go for PB pace, but... Oh, just Eva. Yeah, if I was gonna go for PB pace, that'd be much more important, but... Yeah, pet the rock. We rub up against the rock. We're kinda like a cat. We're kinda like a cat trying to get, attention from our owners. And we're gonna do that a few times, because there's actually a couple areas where that is important. But it's not nearly as important to start off. It's 45 seconds of loss with all of these, cutscenes. Like the old wooden shed cutscene. That cutscene right there where it had, like, that quote. And then a cutscene here, which made me think the game was kind of a horror game at first. But it's not. Don't worry. It's just a game about a dude who's going absolutely mental in a world where the Irish famine basically killed everyone else. So, just one guy going crazy. Okay. We could skip, as I said, we could have skipped that if we got the cutscene skips earlier. Alright, now we're gonna break out of bounds. A lot of two out of 3 of the runs just have us kind of break out of bounds and skip through, like, the majority of the game. So, we just did that, just kind of casually. We just, we just found, like, a spot where you can just walk out of bounds without any, like, trouble. When I first started running this game, only one other guy had ran it, and he used collision to, fly himself out of bounds. But we found a much more consistent way of doing it. Technically it loses a bit of time. I think we calculated like 12-second time loss total if you do it that way. But it's not a big deal. This game is already pretty fast as is. We can get it under 10 minutes. Well, I can't. I just lost 45 seconds to it, but by normal means, you can get this under 10 minutes. There will not be any porcelain dolls in this run. We skipped that part in Dream. So, there's not going to be anything horrifying in these in any of these games. Unless you find puzzles to be scary. Or ghost children. Because that's what we're kind of dealing with now. Ghost children. I guess in general, if you find like a feeling of isolation, you'd probably also find this game kind of uneasy. Or all three of these games kind of uneasy. But typically no. There's not gonna be, we're not doing any of like the nightmares, we're not doing any of like the really scary stuff. We don't have to worry about like the darkness or anything like that. So now we got to the point where we're gonna break back inbounds. Basically we're just gonna feel around on the rocks collision, and we're just gonna climb these rocks to go back inbounds, where we have this one cutscene where there's just this ghost kid kind of just crawling on the sand. You know, very casual. Now unfortunately we need to get some tricks. We like actually need to. There's not another way to do this. So we found that if we keep our compass at east and we rub against this invisible wall here, we can like shoot ourselves upwards pretty consistently. And now it's just a matter of getting the air. That would soft lock. It's just a matter of getting the air time. Like this. And there's one more time where we're gonna have to do this, but other than that, everything else is pretty standard. At least for Montague's. It's a very inconsistent run. It's probably my least favorite part of the Trifecta. It's just a Montague's Mount any percent speedrun, yeah. We're gonna grab these keys. There's a key here at this plaque too. And we're gonna need those keys in order to finish the game. These are the only two. This is the only puzzle we need for Montague's. And I think we skip all of the puzzles in Ether. And then, we do 3 in Dream. So we use the first key, the one that we got in the plaque, to unlock the gate. And then we're going to use this small copper key to do the one puzzle that we need to do in Montague's in order to finish the game.
And then Anya and Peter playing in the sea, skipping stones and searching for those tiny crabs.
What ending is Dream? It'll be the Bedlamite ending.
So inquisitive.
Because that's effectively the good any percent stuff. But it'll be Bedlamite. Which means I'm gonna have to go really, really fast in Dream. I have to be very careful with what I do. Because I could botch the run up and not actually get a real ending if I'm not careful. Okay. That's one of 4 puzzles that we're gonna do in this entire fucking run. Oh, sorry. I forgot. I'm not supposed to swear on QFSF. My bad. But, supposed to keep it family friendly here. My bad. You know, that's one of 4 in this entire run. Had all your wisdom teeth taken out on Thursday? Yike. Hopefully, yeah, I agree with Thermal. Hopefully your recovery is going well. Alright, so if we go up there, we can open the gate, but we'll be losing like 2 minutes to a cutscene. So what we do is we line up here. We use that top bit of the, we line up that one line on the compass, and we're gonna line it up with the inn to the north. And we're just gonna kind of rub up against this side here. Come on. There we go. We're just gonna kind of shoot up over here, bypassing the cutscene trigger, and we're gonna grab that. And that's the end of Montague, so we're gonna switch over to Ether 1. Ether 1 is a little bit weirder, but it's actually a lot easier. It's probably the easiest of the 3 games that we're gonna be playing.
Listen, I'm sorry for the things I said earlier on. It's just, God, I really don't think you should go to that place. I don't think they care. Not like they should.
Montague's is short.
I know how it feels.
Record is like 7 minutes.
Want more.
All 3 of these games are really short.
Jesus, do you know how they view you?
The entire run right now, the entire trifecta, I think record that I have is like 39 minutes. So, the entire run's pretty short. So with Ether, we're gonna start jumping here. What we do is we jump downstairs because when you walk downstairs, it actually slows you down. So I found that if you jump over staircases, I can like bypass losing all my momentum. Or as much of it as I can.
So once you've signed in, grab the key card from the top drawer and head on down. You will need it to gain access to the lower floors.
Restoration procedure for patient
JN2057
will commence shortly. Staff are advised to prepare chambers for initial projection.
Beautiful.
Okay, so while
A miracle of the 20th century.
yeah, it's faster than walking. So, I'm gonna have to, like, fight with Phyllis here. But basically what's going on is Phyllis is gonna kind of explain the idea of the game to us. We're not really gonna pay that much attention to it. But when she's gonna open this gate here, and when we do, I'm going to replace a battery for this chair, and then I'm gonna hit F4. And I'll explain a little bit more about what F4 does when I actually get to that point. So, I'm just because there's a lot of downtime here. So, yeah, she's gonna open the gate here in a sec.
Here and help you with the setup. I need the electrical input for the Rembrandt installation rerouting. You can access it from that terminal over there.
We're gonna replace the battery, and we're gonna hit this button and hit F4. What this does is it allows us to bypass this cutscene. F4 is actually a quick load button. F5 is a quick save button. We're gonna be using that here in a sec. But typically what you're supposed to do, after you push that button and replace the battery, you're supposed to sit in that chair, and it'll kind of like lower you into this little orb thing down here. And then that'll fill up with water, and then that'll get us into starting the game. But because we can bypass this cutscene entirely, we're just kind of waiting until this cutscene does its thing, and we save like 2 minutes on the run entirely. Like, this just completely... It saves 2 minutes. It's crazy. Some of the other runs also use quick save and quick loads, but we're only going to use it like 2 other times in the entire run. So yeah, we're gonna teleport in, and then we're gonna use the QSL. We're gonna come over here. We're gonna duck under this little pipe. Then we're gonna release crouch, F5, F4, quick save, quick load. And then we're gonna do it again. And that causes us to wrong warp to about 0, 0 on the map. And now we're just going to walk to the trigger that we need to walk to. Once again, as I said, we kind of just break out of bounds for the majority of this run as well. Dream, we don't do that. I think we only break out of bounds once in the entire run, and that's with elevator skip. But technically, everything else is kind of just like done with out of bounds. But yeah, we call it a QSL, quick save load, and that can just allow us to bypass a lot of things, allow us to reset a lot of things. Typically we use it when it comes to like elevators and stuff, because that resets the elevator's position, and in like 100% that's really, really helpful. We're gonna quick save just in case I fail this trick the first time. Okay, we got it. And we're just gonna climb the collision a little bit while we make our way to the trigger. Okay. Quick save again so I don't soft lock. Or if I do soft lock, it's not gonna be that big of a deal. Okay. And that's the trigger. Now we just wait to actually get started into the game.
Moments, like stars, are passing me by, burning so bright and so fast as if they never truly existed at all. They're so beautiful, so fragile. I want to hold on to them. I want to hold on and never let them go.
So the next big trick is going to require standing behind a door and opening a door on top of us while we jump. It's gonna be weird to explain, but you'll see kind of what I mean here. So we're gonna jump down the stairs. We're gonna open the door. We're gonna close it, and then we're gonna open it on top of ourselves while we jump, and we kind of just get flung up. We found that there's like a problem with the collision when it comes to just doors in Unreal Engine 3 games in general, because you can kind of do this in Dream too, but there's not any useful places to do this in Dream. But yeah, we open it on top of ourselves and then jump, and that causes us to clip on top of the door. It's just a little problem with the collision, and since the developers didn't think we would find that, or didn't think to check, they didn't really they didn't code a lot of collision that they probably should have, so we can kind of just like break out of bounds entirely, and then we can just go to the last level, which is Pinwheel Village here. And then what we're gonna do here is we're gonna collect 10 ribbons while we let Phyllis just kind of talk our ears off, and
When I was a young doctor,
that's when the next trick will come in.
and there was little I wouldn't have done to prove myself. Ambition.
But Phyllis will pour her heart out to us while we
The far corners of science.
just kind of ignore it and
Aware that some of these
go along her merry little way collecting ribbons.
experimental in nature, yet surely it's right to sacrifice a few for the majority. Pinwheel Village was said to have the best Mayday
That was kind of slow.
across the region. You know what? I've never actually been to a Mayday festival. Can I be honest for a moment?
Phyllis is a nice lady, in fairness. In fairness to Thermal, Phyllis is a very nice lady. She is trying to help. She's not like a villain or anything, like I initially thought when I started playing Ether.
Don't you understand?
But she is a very nice
No
lady.
second chance with this. I have one chance, and you're it. I don't trust often, but I have faith that you're going to complete this task, and you're going to do it with grace. Did I ever tell you that my sister suffered from dementia? She was
Oh
only
yeah, by the way, this game is about dementia. If you haven't caught on.
I'm sure I don't need to tell you
We
how
play as
bad
a
that is.
patient of dementia by the name of Thomas,
Sparked something in me.
and
Cure.
his dementia was sparked after losing his wife to a car crash.
Actually leading me here.
So,
Had my experiments been around
yeah,
at the
as I
time,
said, all these games are really depressing.
I'm sure we could have prevented the inevitable. I'm sure
And then I'm gonna go to a less depressing game, known as Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
39. You would have liked her. Listen. Whatever you may
Okay, we're gonna QSL real quick, because I'm gonna botch a thing if I don't.
listen.
We're gonna collect this last ribbon,
Whatever you may think of me, you're doing a
and then we're gonna go back to the
fantastic job
case.
here, Thomas.
We're gonna hit this
Without
little thing,
none of this would
gonna
be possible.
head into the church,
It's close. I hope that you can find it in your heart to trust
and we
me.
timed it just right to where if we come back here to the end of the church,
There as much as I want
we
to save
should
this
be
life.
able to skip an entire 2 dialogues. There's apparently a 200 plus person multi-world. That sounds really weird.
We're back here.
It sounds really, really amazing actually.
Would have been it, but just 1 second. What the hell is going on?
Okay,
Yes, that's
so basically everything else from here,
if I'm honest.
we're not,
The final hurdle hasn't yet been crossed.
there's not any more tricks to do. What we just did was trust skip. So typically what trust skip does, so Phyllis has some really, really long dialogues regarding the Pinwheel Village door.
Wait, this isn't right.
It takes
I don't
a
understand.
ton, like it takes a ton of time. I want to say it takes like an entire minute and 16 seconds or something like that. Trust fall? No, trust skip. It's a trust skip. So we basically, when we get that final ribbon, we go in and activate the music box. Then we head into the church, and for this game, for whatever reason, overlaps your dialogue choices. So what that does is it moves the church. It moves like the explanation of the church, right? It uses it takes the explanation that Phyllis has of the church and implements it in front of everything. In front of the whole spiel that Phyllis will have about like, oh, how you're doing such a great job. And then if we go to the front of the church, that replaces another dialogue in front of the church altogether, which activates the final door to a camera section that we just kind of skipped. And it saves like a whole minute, maybe 2. Like, it saves a lot of time if we have trust skip. If we don't, we would be waiting there for a while as Phyllis tells us how good we're doing and how, you know, this is the final step, the final hurdle, and once we cross that, we can't come back. So, but that's really it. At least as far as Ether goes, after trust skip, you kind of just play everything casually. So, there's not any interesting tricks until we get into Dream, where there's going to be nothing but interesting tricks throughout the entirety of the run, pretty much.
I guess the last question to
Well,
answer is,
minus
how
conveyor
do I
puzzle, but
fit
we'll
into
get to
all of
that.
this? In your memories and in your mind.
It's going to be a 3-minute mess. 3-minute tedious mess that I really don't like going through and would like to find the skip to that.
I felt that my elbow was the best thing to do. uncertainty. Frightened and scared.
You like 3-minute mess is your favorite to clean up? Oh, you'll understand when we actually get there. It's gonna be a very
These memories are all yours. Every one an experience from your life.
it's gonna be a very different
Some
kind of
of them we
mess.
lived together and others only you experienced. Lost in your own illness, your mind fought to save as much as it possibly could by creating this confused world of fantasy.
I just lost all my
reality.
momentum. Great.
These core memories from your childhood, they made you
It's
who you
fine.
are today, traumatic as they are. But it truly was the only way that you could understand who you are as an individual. You're being treated with validation therapy, and you're struggling to feel alive. Sat in that leather chair, in that care home, day in, day
Okay.
out. I don't know why, but I decided to follow you. I grabbed my coat and I sneaked out the back door to
So, because of the nature of the UE3 Puzzle Exploration Gauntlet, also known as the Depression Trifecta, that is the end of the Ether 1 run, and we can move on to Dream. Even though technically that would end off in a soft lock. But we don't really need to worry about that. Alright. Dream. The last 2 times I've been on QFSF, I've run Dream, so by now, a lot of you guys should kind of know what's coming up. If you don't, or if this is your first time seeing Dream, I've got a lot of explanation to do.
If I come in first. Yeah, of course. Sorry. Come in. Let me grab you a towel and a cup of tea? Or do you prefer coffee at this time of night? Coffee, if you don't mind. Thanks.
For whatever reason, my
Can I help with that?
volume is really,
What's
really,
going on?
like, quiet for Dream. I have no idea why. Okay, so we wait for the start. You do. I very much agree with that, Ace. Dream is actually a really good game. It's kind of low-key. It's not a game that people really seem to like, but it's a game that I respect a lot, for what it does, and, what it does do right, it does kind of really great. To some extent, yes, Shadow. It actually is very, very, very normal. Okay, so... Oh, that's not good.
Lights. Turn them off. The electricity bill was huge last time.
Okay. I've got a little bit of a problem here. It's fine.
Good dream, bad dream.
I can deal with it. What happened? When I play Dream, I actually mark a little X on my monitor with a dry erase marker, because this game doesn't come with like its own crosshair. You know how like Ether had like that small like dot in the middle of the screen? Dream doesn't have that, and it causes some things to be kind of harder to do because you can't get that that precision right. And it does help. It helps a ton for this game. But my crosshair, my marker was off center, and that's not good. I can figure it out. It's fine.
The idiot stuck his password in
So what we just did was
so much for security.
man, there's actually a lot that I'd have to get caught up on there because I haven't been explaining anything at all. So right now what we're doing is a thing called CPM. Basically we're just kind of waiting on a cutscene. Technically you're not supposed to be able to move in this cutscene, but if I did this right, I should be able to move just fine.
Oh wow.
Okay. I'm marking my screen. Oh shit, yeah, okay, I fucked up. It is better than no crosshair, yeah. Okay, whatever. Okay, so we didn't get the CPM. Okay. So yeah, you're not supposed to be able to move in that... You're not supposed to be... You're, like, not supposed to at all be able to move in that cutscene. But I found a way that you can, if you back out and enter in the computer again, you can kind of bypass that, and you can then move around as you will. Thermal found a specific jump that you can do between the computer platform and like a nearby rock, and that saves actually like a good chunk of time. Like 8. No. I think it's actually like 12 seconds that it saves. But I didn't get it, so it's not a big deal. Before then, in order to get to the computer, I did this thing called QP. So, Howard actually kind of fucking flies. Like, he kind of flies a lot. Whenever you hit certain things at a certain angle. And it's... it's kind of a lot. Someone donate? Nice. Okay. Oh. Botched it. Okay. I botched elevator skip. It's fine. We can try it again. So basically, what we're doing is we offset the elevator, and it allows us to just kind of... We offset the elevator by hitting the second floor button, and that causes the elevator to go up. And then when we hit the ground floor, where we were at, the game mistakes where the elevator would be to be the top floor, and then it'll start moving down to where the bottom floor would be. We hit the second floor button because that puts us just right next to the basement floor, and then we can clip through the door for the basement floor and hit the button there, which will cause the door to open at the basement, but we also need to be able to raise the elevator up from there, so we have to kind of like crouch to the side and hit one of the buttons from the side of the box. It's a very weird trick. If you can learn that trick, you effectively get the most important trick in that in this entire game. If you don't get it, then oh well. It's not too bad to, you know, reset. But
Did someone drag their computer all the way out?
otherwise you lose like 7 minutes. It's a very important trick if you don't get it. I've also been doing this thing, I don't know if you guys have noticed, where I've been kind of walking in darkness. And I just kind of get to certain places before Howard's vision stops being blurry. It's effectively just blind walking. We did that really, really early on in the run with Montagues. There's a similar thing here in Dream, where we have to blind walk. And blind walking takes a lot of... It takes a lot of practice to be able to get right, but I found some setups that work for me, really, at the end of the day. It saves time, and it's actually the only way to do true 80%, which is like a 2-minute run. Not joking. But okay. Trying to think what else do I need to get caught up on. I think that's about it, actually. We're doing the conveyor puzzle now. And what you need to do for this conveyor puzzle is there are these two conveyors, one on top, one on the bottom, in these 4 cabins. And we're expected to get their orders, which can be found in that cabin back there. We're expected to get their orders into the right cabins using nothing but the conveyors. It's a 3-minute puzzle, and it's kind of tedious. So, but I've learned the fastest way to do it. It's still 3 minutes. It's still not fun. It's still the least fun part of this entire run. And it's the majority of the run, so... It's the majority of a Bedlamite run, at least. So, just kind of downtime, really. Yep, it takes a while. It took me actually a few hours to get it on my first playthrough. Someone's saying, I hope you don't get sticky buttoned. I hope I don't either, because that's a 3-minute time loss. So sticky buttons can happen just randomly in this, and it makes it to where the conveyors just stop working. It is a terrible, terrible glitch if you get it. Because then you need to leave the level, come back in, and do the entire puzzle over again. It's not a very common glitch to happen, but when it happens, the run is as good as dead. There's a lot of things like that in this game. It's like, it doesn't happen terribly often, but when it does... And this is the game that I want people to run more often. Okay. And... if I have been paying enough attention to what I am doing and didn't botch it up terribly, we should be done. That's the sound that it worked. I was not kidding if anyone was paying attention. I was not kidding to this being a 3-minute puzzle. I think I might have taken a little bit longer because I was just slower overall. I think I might have taken 4 minutes, but Point being, I was not lying when I had said it's a really, really... I was not kidding when I said it was like 3-4 minutes. Yeah, it's my least favorite part of this run, but... And you have to do it, every time you play this game. There is no skip to it. It kinda stinks. Alright. Next puzzle.
Your staff will be contacted shortly. Please have them stand by their phones for the calls. Have a nice day.
Alright. We're gonna listen for, some phones.
Three.
3. Oh, it's in cabin 1, isn't it? Okay.
2.
3, 2. Okay, that's in this cabin.
8.
3, 2, 8. Over here. Wow! I got really good luck, actually.
8.
3, 2, 8, 8. Okay. Safe RNG was a little bit weird, but 3, 2, 8, 8 is not the worst that it could have been. So basically that entire puzzle is just random number generator, followed by a teleporter that we use to skip the majority of the walking. And we need to head this way. So yeah, that entire thing is random. You know, you can get some really good luck, you can get bad luck. It's an RNG puzzle. And then the only other things that we have to do is we're gonna grab this. We're gonna come in here, grab this, because we do need a few extra points or else we don't get a real ending. We hop in here, we get 2 points, because this game runs on an in-game point system, right? You don't actually know how much points you have until like the tail end of the game. And I did not get meteor. Fuck, so lost to 5 seconds. Typically there's a meteor that falls on top of you by that end, and that saves 5 seconds if you get it, but if you don't get it, oh well. There's a 5-second time loss. But yeah, this game runs on an in-game point system. We're actually going to get 5 points here. And, we're gonna alarm clock out. And then we hop back in and immediately run backwards. And then that should be about the end of the run. So time is it's coming up. We're just gonna head backwards, like blind walking backwards to the final portal and time. And that should be the run. 41:25, gross, but that's fine.